Okay, so here is the very short, quick video on the structure of atoms. So this is something I made last year for my 8th graders, but it will work for this year too. So we'll be using it in class as well. So up here at the top, I have a little joke with my Joker's hat on there. It says atoms make up everything, because atoms are the smallest unit we can get a substance down to. So we can get gold or mercury or neon or lithium or calcium, carbon, all those things. We can break it down. At smallest particle we can get it to is an atom. And carbon is good for us to learn about because it is essential for life. All organic compounds include carbon. So if we did not have carbon, we would not have us. So it's very, very, very important that we know a little bit about it. So on the top here, I have an example of carbon, and that is a Rutherford model. Down at the bottom, this would be helium because there are 2 electrons, but this would be a Bohr model. All right, so we use these a little bit more when we're talking about electrons and energy levels, and especially placing the energy levels onto, or placing the electrons on an energy level. But we need to know this model as well because electrons don't have a specific path per se. They have a specific energy level that they stay in, but they don't really have a set path. And so the newest model that we have now, which is not included here, it's just kind of like a cloud in this part. You know, it's just very cloudy on the outside, and we don't see specific electrons anywhere. It's just a cloud. That's why we also call it the electron cloud. So if we look in the nucleus, I always like to start in the nucleus because that's where the identity of things normally are, right? If a nucleus in an atom, that's kind of telling, in a cell, that's telling the cell what kind of cell it's going to be, because that's where the DNA is, right? If you think about our nucleus, it's kind of like our brain, and that makes us who we are. So our nucleus, which is where we find protons, is also where we find our identity of the atoms, because protons identify our atoms. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 6 protons. Protons are positive, and because I have 6, that also tells me that this is carbon. If I was looking at helium, then I have 1, 2 electrons. That tells me I have 2 protons, so that's helium. Because in a neutral atom, which this is neutral, then we have the same amount of protons as we do as electrons, all right? So neutral atoms, they have the same number. So when knowing those little things, we can easily kind of identify atoms, right? So back to the nucleus, we have protons, they're positive. And right here, that is a little ruler. A lot of the kids, it took them forever to figure that out last year, said, yeah, that's a ruler, because we can see that our 2 particles in the nucleus, protons and neutrons, they're the same size, all right? And that's important because we add those together to come up with the atomic mass. Because our little electrons, they're so tiny. If we compare them to this is like if we compared it legitly, that would be a dot that you couldn't see. But electrons are so teeny tiny that they don't really affect the mass at all, so we don't count them in the mass. So neutrons, they are in the nucleus, and they are neutral or have no charge. That's what that O is about. Electrons are in the electron cloud or on the energy levels, and they have a negative charge, and they are very, very, very tiny in the smallest particles. And down here at the bottom, this was just a fun little thing that I had to remind them about what they learned in 7th grade. It says, can you guess this carbon-containing compound? And there's the compound, and there's a little hint with a leaf and some sugar on it. So if you think you know what that is, you can comment and let me know. But overall, the top things that you need to know, we have protons and neutrons in the nucleus. Protons are positive, neutrons are neutral. We add those together to make the atomic mass. Electrons are teeny tiny. They're the smallest ones. They're negative, and we find them in the outer shells. All right, so little by little, knowing those things right there helps everything you do in chemistry and dealing with the periodic table a whole lot easier. So that's the structure. If you can remember those three little things: protons, neutrons in the middle, protons positive, neutrons neutral, electrons on the outer layers, they're negative charge and they're tiny. So remember those, and let me know if you know my little question there.